So, a couple hours ago, I posted the question on Facebook, what is the most ticketed car in the US? Got some good answers, got some bad answers, and a couple of you cheated, but that's fine. So, let's get right down to it. What is it? You would think in the United States, we love our big V8 muscle cars. It's got to be like a Camaro, a Corvette, a Mustang, Challenger. No, those don't crack the top three. So you also think, well, in the United States, we love like big German luxury cars that are also sporty. So BMW M cars, Mercedes AMG, all of Porsche's, GT3, XYZ, like their cup racing derived cars that people take and do track days with, stuff like that. You might also think like an ultra high performance car like a Ferrari or something like that. Spoiler alert, there's just not that many of them out there. And also spoiler alert, if it's a really expensive car, it's pretty much going to be owned by somebody that's probably a little bit more established and a little bit wiser and probably isn't going to use it in that manner and get that ticket. So what it comes down to is a couple things, and the car that's at the top of the list might surprise you. So a couple decades ago, a vehicle was introduced by Subaru called the Wrx. It was based on their Impreza kind of, you might call it an economy car, but it's just a mass market sedan. And WRX stands for World Rally Experimental. So the WRX was essentially, to begin with, a homologation car. Subaru wanted to compete in World Rally, and to do so, the manufacturers that provide cars to World Rally have to actually make a road-going version of the same car that essentially has a good number of the same parts in it. So you can't, make a car that's, only has half of its parts in common with the road-going car that the race car is derived from. So they created this car called the Subaru Wrx. It is actually a four-cylinder, turbocharged sedan or hatch, depending on the model you go with. From the beginning, it's had a very, very brisk 0 to 60. It handles very well because they are fairly lightweight, although they have kind of gotten bigger and heavier with the more recent generation. So that is number one. Number two is the Volkswagen Gti, a very similar kind of, hot hatch tuner car. And number three, which is where this gets funny, is actually just the normal Subaru Impreza. Now, this is where it kind of gets weird. The Subaru Wrx is based off the Impreza platform, and it used to be that it was called the Subaru Impreza Wrx. With the most recent generation, they dropped the Impreza out of the name, and it's now just its own model. It's still very much the same car. It's still an Impreza, but Subaru doesn't call it that anymore. And so likely that third place is actually filled up with a bunch of old Subaru Impreza Wrxs that are just getting labeled as Imprezas. Normal Imprezas are not very fast cars. They are naturally aspirated, so they don't have a turbo or anything like that on them, and thus I don't think that many people are getting tickets in them. They don't handle like the Wrx. They don't have as stiff a suspension. They don't have quite as nice of brakes a lot of the time. That depends on spec, but you get my point. It's not a performance car per se. Fun fact, Dodge actually has the most contenders in the top 10. So I believe spots 7, 8, and 9 are all Dodge. Dodge Charger and Challenger are in there, and then I think like a Ram 2500 or something. They also get the, oh no, it was the Dodge Dart. Dodge Dart is also on the list, despite not being a very fast car. Mustang doesn't even make the list. Corvette doesn't even make the list. Honda Civic, which was I think the most voted for on the list, doesn't make the list. Everybody that said a red car, you cheated. Subaru WRXs, typically the hottest selling color is actually blue. The Subaru World Rally team mostly donned blue colors and has donned blue colors for most of its existence. So that tends to be the hot color to buy a WRX in, since it's the racy color. But yeah, there you go. Now you know.